Last video I explained that sin is a broken relationship with God and has nothing whatsoever to do with behavior. I also explained how that if you're defining sin as a broken relationship with God, then you have the key to understanding passages of scriptures that at first didn't make sense. And today, I'm going to be going over these scriptures. But first, I need to make something clear to you. If you're depending upon the power of God, but then choose to stop depending on Him and start depending upon yourself, you commit sin. Because sin is a broken relationship with God, and anytime I look or depend on myself instead of on God, I separate from God, which is sin. Anything bad I do after that is just the result of my separation from God. So it's possible to depend upon God and experience victory at one moment, and the next moment, start depending on yourself and fall and fail in sin. So with that in mind, let's begin looking at scriptures. Hebrews 10 verses 26 to 27. For if we sin willfully after that we have received the knowledge of the truth, there remaineth no more sacrifice for sins, but a certain fearful looking for of judgment. This verse is not saying that if we deliberately continue sinning after we have received the knowledge of the truth, we cannot be forgiven anymore. It's actually saying that if I live life apart from God willfully, after I knew about the core issue in sin but chose not to do anything about it because I'm too busy with more important things like television and sports and video games, then there remains no more sacrifice for my sins. The sacrifice is still there, but it's no good for me because the only way I continue to have His sacrifice covering my sins is to keep coming to Him day by day. John 8 verse 11, She, the woman caught in adultery, said, No man, Lord. And Jesus said unto her, Neither do I condemn thee, go, and sin no more. If living life apart from Jesus is what the essence of sin is, then Jesus really said to the woman, Go. But let's remain in touch. Let's remain in a meaningful relationship together. Revelation 3 verse 21, To him that overcome will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I also overcame, and am set down with my Father in His throne. Wait a minute, so did Jesus have to overcome sins, like us? I don't think so. This verse is saying, To him that overcomes living life apart from God or depending on self, will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I also overcame living life apart from God or depending on myself. Now Jesus never lived His life apart from God, nor did He ever separate from God, but He was tempted all throughout His life, however, to stop depending upon His Father's power and instead rely upon Himself, to use the power that He was born with. James 4 verse 7, Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Did you know that this isn't the full verse? The full verse says, Submit yourselves therefore to God. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. And the next verse says, Draw nigh to God, and He will draw nigh to you. So you don't resist the devil by trying to resist the devil. It will only result in failure every single time. You resist the devil by submitting yourself to God, by drawing nigh to God, and He will draw nigh to you and fight the devil for you. Psalm 66 verse 18, If I regard iniquity in my heart, the Lord will not hear me. If you have to get rid of your iniquities in order for God to hear you, but you can't get rid of your iniquities unless God will hear you, then you'll be sitting there for a long time. There are many kinds of prayers, conditional and unconditional, and the kind that this verse is talking about is special requests or favors, the conditional one. The people of God in the Old Testament forfeited God's blessings, and God would not hear their prayers concerning special favors such as prosperity and sunshine and crops, because these were dependent upon their obedience to God. But any sinner who comes to Jesus is always accepted, and always heard. Hebrews 12 verse 4, Ye have not yet resisted unto blood, striving against sin. Let's go back a few verses to see this verse in context. Wherefore seeing we also are compassed about with so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight, and the sin which doth so easily beset us. Now this isn't talking about our favorite sin or the sin that we cherish in our hearts, but rather, the sin in which we are tempted to depend upon ourselves instead of upon God, to live life on our own steam apart from God. And let us run with patience the race that is set before us, looking unto Jesus the author and finisher of our faith. For consider Him that endured such contradiction of sinners against Himself, lest ye be wearied and faint in your minds. Ye have not yet resisted unto blood, striving against sin, like Jesus did. Jesus resisted unto blood, striving against sin, striving against the temptation to depend upon Himself instead of upon His Father's power. Hebrews 4 verse 15, For we have not an high priest which cannot be touched with the feeling of our infirmities, but was in all points tempted like as we are, yet without sin. If you take a look at your Greek Bible, you'll notice that points is not in this verse, but rather, He was tempted in all, or to every extent. If Jesus had to be tempted in all points, everything that we are tempted with, then he was born 2,000 years too soon. However, Jesus was tempted 10,000 times more than we will ever be tempted because he had the power within him, and when you have the power, that's when you're tempted to use it, but Jesus never used that power. Therefore, he was tempted to depend upon himself instead of upon the power of God, like as we are, yet without sin, and you can experience the same victory Jesus experienced by sitting on the three-legged stool day by day.